We begin with the political tension brewing in Kaduna State, northwest Nigeria, where former governor of the state, Nasir El-Rufai, has been invited alongside 6 other leaders of the opposition African Democratic Congress over allegations of criminal conspiracy, inciting disturbance of public peace, mischief, and causing grievous hurt. The police invitation to El-Rufai and others in ADC comes as the immediate past governor of the state accused his successor governor, Uba Sani, of backing thugs who attacked an ADC coalition meeting last weekend in Kaduna. El-Rufai also alleged that police officers provided cover for the attackers and insisted the thugs were government-sponsored while promising to submit evidence to the Police Service Commission and the Inspector General of Police for investigation. The police had, in the wake of the violence, suspended political gatherings in the state. Meanwhile, the Kaduna state government has issued a strong warning to El-Rufai, accusing him of a plot to incite violence and destabilize the state for political gains. In a statement, the Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Dr. Suleiman Shuaibu, alleged that El-Rufai was, quote, plotting to destabilize the state and drag it back to its dark and violent past. But in reaction on his social media handles, El-Rufai went ahead to accuse the Kaduna state government and Office of the National Security Advisor of, quote, greasing the palms of bandits and other non-state actors in Kaduna and other states. Well, to help us make sense of the rising political conflict in Kaduna State, we have joining us from Kaduna, Abdul Aziz Ahmed Kader, a media consultant and immediate past general manager of Liberty Radio and Television. He's also a former chairman of the Kaduna State Government House Press Corps. Thank you so much for joining us, Abdul Aziz. Now, as an independent observer of what's going on in Kaduna State, can you really bring us up to speed as to what exactly this invitation by the police is all about and how political parties in the state are taking the ban on political gatherings by the Nigeria police?
Well, thank you very much, and good day to the viewer out there. It's nothing new, probably the dimension it's taking. Let's go back a bit. Pre-2015, during the administration of Mukhtar Ramalan Yero of the People's Democratic Party, and after his emergence as the APC gubernatorial candidate, Nasir El-Rufai stormed Kaduna. And for those who remember very well, it took a street walk from the Ahmadu Bello Stadium all the way to Kau. For those who remember very well, anything standing on the way in the names of billboard or anything, were taken down. But the administration of Mukhtar Ramalan Yero then, gauging the pulse of the state, decided not to take any decision on the opposition then. But I'm sure people will remember very well what happened at Murtala Square, where during the campaigns, Governor Mukhtar Ramalan Yero was actually forced into speaking out certain language that later the opposition used against him because he went abusive, eyed by what the opposition was doing then. Then, of course, Malam Nasir El-Rufai won the governorship. And for those who will remember, the first 4 years of Nasir El-Rufai wasn't something that you will want to talk about. Dissent was not actually condoned. Again, I don't know how many people will remember what happened sometimes in July 2017, where the Nigerian Union of Journalists was stormed. Senator Shehu Sani then was in that meeting. There are a lot of other people in that meeting who escaped by whiskers. You remember, I think about 3 journalists got injured in the process. In a second time also, a lot of things happened. There are journalists who went to, there were things I'm sure people will remember. But then, for Uba Sani, since he came on board, and people keep talking about the conflict between Nasir El-Rufai and his political godson, like some people would love to say, Senator Uba Sani. But it seems to be a conflict between their supporters more compared to the way people would love to look at it and say it's a conflict between Nasir El-Rufai and Uba Sani. To be fair to the incumbent governor, nobody can remember at any point where Senator Uba Sani has actually directly attacked his former boss or his political godfather, like some people who would love to say it.
All right.
Or looking at it again, it's difficult to see those who are very close to Obasani, like he's a chief of staff, Sani Kila, or Hamisu Rago, for instance, who were his close allies to actually done what we were talking about. But for the ADC, again, people talk about the stoppage of the issue of putting an end to political gathering. Is that coming from the state government or from the police? I think it's the police that should be answering that question. And again, Mr. Sumner, to round it up, people should also understand that there was a time under Nasir El-Rufai when Senator Shehu Sani was also invited by the police in a similar circumstances like we are seeing now with the ADC leadership in the States.
Yeah, I mean, we've always seen all these invitations coming here and there, especially that of Shehu Sani that you're talking about. And a lot of people are saying that El-Rufai is being paid back in his own political coin because, I mean, while he held sway in Kaduna, this is the sort of environment he created for his political opponents. How do you react to that?
Well, it's sad. People will tell you that, look, governance is suffering in Kaduna as we speak because it's the ordinary man who is at the receiving end. Most of the people who come out to speak sometimes speak in their own interests. Again, don't forget that Nasir El-Rufai is not just speaking against the government of Kaduna State alone. He has not also spared the National Security Advisor. He has not spared the president, whom he actually campaigned for before in the last election. To the point of also saying that there are no leaders in the north. So Malam Nasir El-Rufai's inability to actually accept dissent seems to be what people, like you said, is being paid back in his own coins. Sadly, people will tell you that the media handlers of Malam Nasir El-Rufai, while he was a governor, did not do the right thing. Because at a point, the local media seems to be his enemies. He would rather deal with the foreign medias. But of course, as we are speaking now, even those foreign medias cannot come to his defense. So it would be right to say he's been paid back in his own coins by the same set of people who were the one drumming and dancing to his tune. Then they are the same people now who are actually antagonizing him.
And let's talk about the issues of the ban on political gatherings. How have other political parties been taking this issue? Yes. Because, I mean, as we get up towards 2027, political parties, groups, and all of that need to be meeting, including the ADC, which is just trying to harvest, defectors from other political parties and all of that. Is this a target at the ADC, specifically as El-Rufai is accusing of, the Kaduna State government political participation, or is something that you think, is right to have been put in place so as to create an atmosphere that works for everyone before the police lifts the ban?
Well, the irony of the whole thing here is that governors always say they don't have control over the police. Now, this directive of putting an end to political gatherings is not coming from the state government, but coming from the Nigerian police. So that's why I say it's a contradiction. So are we now saying that the police take directives from sitting governors? That is a question I'm sure we'll be needing some stakeholders to answer. Secondly, the People's Democratic Party, not just in Kaduna, in Nigeria at a point people will tell you that they've been silent, they were not playing the opposition that they're supposed to play. But as active journalists, I know I've put this question to the immediate past chairman of the People's Democratic Party in Kaduna, and who also doubles as the chairman of the Forum of PDP chairman in Nigeria, talking about former Minister of State Aviation, Mr. Felix Hassan Hayat. And he would tell you that, look, the PDP will not play the kind of opposition APC played while they were in opposition. He will always tell you that if PDP plays that kind of opposition today, they will end up setting the nation ablaze, and they don't want to do that. That is one. For the ADC, sometimes it's difficult for you to actually tell who is.
All right, we seem to have been having some technical glitch there with Abdulaziz Kadir Ahmed, who is joining us from Kaduna to actually talk to us about the ongoing challenge politically between former governor of the state, Nasir El-Rufai, and of course the incumbent governor, Governor Uba Sani. And of course, the governor has gone ahead to actually warn Nasir El-Rufai not to create so much political tension in the state. And I've been told that we have Abdulaziz back. Can you just go ahead to make your point?
Oh, all right. Like I was saying before that glitch, it's difficult. I was talking about the immediate past chairman of the People's Democratic Party in Kaduna State, Mr. Felix Hassan here. I, as former Minister of State Aviation, who will always say that, look, the PDP will not play the kind of opposition the APC played while they were in the opposition. And he will tell you that, look, considering the security challenges and other challenges the country faces today, if PDP plays that kind of opposition, they will set the country ablaze. But when you look at it, sometimes it's difficult for you to say who is a member of APC or PDP or even the new ADC in Kaduna State. To be fair to the governor, he succeeded in actually bringing some people even from the opposition who left the APC to the PDP back to the APC. There are some people, I don't want to mention names, who are great stakeholders in PDP who were also material for the emergence of the governor in the last election, who he succeeded in winning over to his own camp. So for the ADC, you realize that these are mostly in Kaduna are people who are loyal to Nasir El-Rufai. And I think that is where we are having this issue. But like I said, if the declaration on banning political gatherings in Kaduna is coming from the police, I think the police is in a better position to answer some of these questions, why they should be doing that now. But again, Mr. Sumner, let's not forget that whatever you're going to say, the people who are the electorate already made up their minds. They know where they are going to, where the pendulum will swing at the end of the day. The political actors may do their own things, but after all said and done, when push comes to shove, be rest assured that the electorate will decide on their own stand.
Now, you have been covering these two gentlemen. I know you covered El-Rufai and then Ramalan Yero and all other governors. Juxtapose it with what is happening between Nasir El-Rufai and, of course, Uba Sani. Where exactly do you think that things went wrong for these two gentlemen? I mean, because they had the best of times together as friends, and then, of course, you have Nasir El-Rufai saying that Uba Sani was never his friend, when we know that, you know, they did so many things together here and there, including serving in the cabinet of former military head, former head of state, President Olusegun Obasanjo.
President Obasanjo.
Yeah, so where did things actually go awry among these two gentlemen?
Well, you know, they always say in politics, no permanent friend or permanent interest. To start from, if Malam Nasir El-Rufai is saying today that Senator Uba Sani has never been his friend, I think we should go back a while ago. I think a few months back when he said the National Security Advisor, Malam Nuhu Ribadu and co. are no more his friends. So I think it's just a political statement. If we go back a bit, I started covering government, I think, from McCarthy's regime to Namadi Sambo, to late Sir Patrick Ibrahim Yakowa, Mukhtar Ramalan Yero, and a bit of the Nasir El-Rufai before I exited for the New Nigerian newspapers then. For McCarthy's administration, you could see that it was a government, if you like Obasanjo did, of national unity. There were other people from the opposition who were actually accommodated in that government. With Namadi Sambo, the same thing happened. The man who just resigned recently as Commissioner of Information in Kaduna State, Professor Mohammed, was from the opposition and was a commissioner in that administration. Yakowa sustained that. Mukhtar Ramalan Yero also sustained that. But when Nasir El-Rufai came, it was a winner takes all. And like you said, Malam Uba Sani came as his political advisor and they were very close, did everything together in his first tenure. In his second tenure, I'm sure Nigerians will remember, when in his first tenure, he said he couldn't get the loan because people like Senator Shehu Hussaini, Usman Unkwi decided, and Senator La decided to say they will not actually be part of that. Then he pushed them aside. I'm sure a lot of people remember the abusive language he used of them, the cause, and said Nigerians should pray, the people of Kaduna should pray against the three senators. Then Obasani came. But going to the question you asked, I think the problem started because some of us were saying it there, that look, the finance being generated by Kaduna State government, then the sale of assets of the government, the internet-generated revenue, the loan taking, the project that Nasiru embarked upon were not commensurate with the money that came into the state coffer. Some of us then were branded as enemy of the government. In the words of Samuel Aroa and co, Muyiwa Adekeye, they say we're blacklisted. They say they have a black book then in government house, and some of us had our names on it. But
very interesting.
Obasani said something in the Senate. I'm sure a lot of people remember that, look, he stood for the loan, and if at the end of the day, if Malam Nasir El-Rufai didn't utilize it judiciously, he should be held accountable. I'm sure we'll still remember that word. But I'm sure by the time Obasani came on board, he realized that what some of us were saying, that look, the money generated, the money realized, was not commensurate with the project that Malam Nasir El-Rufai was saying he was embarking upon then. And that became obvious. The State House of Assembly also sat down, did their own investigation, and we came up with I think about 400 billion or thereabout that they said they could not account for. That is the beginning of that problem. And I think that is where they got it wrong. Again, the media handlers of Malam Nasir El-Rufai and himself, due to his statements sometimes, don't help the situation. Like I said, up till this moment, since Obasani came on board, there was no way you could say this is where Senator Obasani attacked Malam Nasiru directly. It'd been some political angers around him. Malam Obasani also seems to have better media handlers as it is compared to Malam Nasir El-Rufai. So, right. Mr. Sumner, I would say that was the genesis of that problem. That's how many billions that were discovered to not have actually gone into the project and nowhere to. I think that was the genesis of that problem.
All right, that was
this problem.
423 billion, that the House of Assembly had indicted.
Yeah, 423 billion, yes.
He's taken the House of Assembly to court and all of that. Well, as we try to wrap up this conversation, El-Rufai seems to be working towards 2027 heavily, and he's saying that, look, he's going to pummel President Bola Tinubu and his APC. And people are doubting his capacity. Just today he's in the southeast where he was preaching that people should go ahead and ensure they work towards, the voter registration exercise that's ongoing to get their PVCs because the APC must be sacked. And people are beginning to ask, is El-Rufai not overrating his political reach? Is he strong enough to be able to bring down President Tinubu's government like he was when he supported Tinubu to come into government? And then secondly, the question of the Southern Kaduna, where he was saying that the Southern Kaduna political arrangement there is not strong enough, and many of them, the political leaders there, are overreaching their powers, and so trying to downplay the strength of Southern Kaduna. But some people from the area have come out to hit against him, like Sokapu and some other groups. How do you juxtapose his statements regarding that zone of Kaduna State?
Well, sadly, something like I said, that's the irony of the whole thing. Remember, Nasiru El-Rufai went to the extent of saying there are no leaders, there are no elders in the north while campaigning for Tinubu. I remember in Arewa House, when Tinubu appeared, I covered that live. The same day, P2B also appeared in Arewa House. Malam El-Rufai said, this is what Sadona will have done. This is what Tafawa Balewa will have done. This is what Aminu Kanu will have done. So the question is he saying what he's doing now is what they will have done if they have supported a candidate to come to power? And the question people have been asking, if Malam Nasir El-Rufai has succeeded in becoming a minister, will he be doing what he is doing today? Just yesterday we were discussing with someone and I said, look, Malam Nasir El-Rufai should know by his age. He has gotten to a stage where his own son is in the House of Representatives, refused to leave the APC. It's enough lesson for him to say, let's leave the stage for these younger ones to take the gauntlet. So there are a lot of irony in that. Again, something for those who might have forgotten. When Nasir El-Rufai came out with accidental public servants, the first person that came out to oppose some of the issues there was Malam Nuhu Ribadu, for those who remember then, as immediate past chairman of EFCC. So a lot of contradiction there. Coming to the question you asked, remember at that Arewa House also, Malam Nasir El-Rufai remembered the gathering, how Peter Obi in the election in Anambra used the police to detain him in his hotel.
Yeah,
of course, that same day, Peter Obi came on board after Tinubu. And Peter Obi said he was also in his village trying to see how he could win election in his own ward. So he was not even in the state capital. So it was a police issue. It was not him. I remember Nasiru El-Rufai saying that if he were like Peter Obi, he had the one div Nigerian army, he had Jaji, he had the Air Force, he had, and what have you, things like that. He would have used it to ensure that Peter Obi don't even step into Kaduna. But he was not like Peter Obi. Again, remember, Atiku brought El-Rufai to the Obasanjo administration. I don't know, Sumner, if you have read My Watch by Obasanjo. I don't want to go into that. But when you look at all the people that Nasiru El-Rufai had worked with and how they ended up, I mean, you wonder if Nasiru El-Rufai could be in the same boat as we speak, with the same Peter Obi, with Atiku, with several other people. But 24 hours is a long time in politics. You can never say. I'm sure the days ahead are pregnant, and those days will actually provide answers to some of these issues.
Yeah, I mean, some people are saying it's just a matter of time. Very quickly, I mean, touch on the issues of the Southern Kaduna before I let you go, I mean.
Yes, I mean, concerning Southern Kaduna, you see, we are practicing a presidential system of government where in election, Sumner, if me and you stands for election and I got one vote above you, I become the winner. A simple majority. So even if Southern Kaduna might not be up to 5% or 2%, Southern Kaduna is not just people of Southern Kaduna alone. Southern Kaduna is people by human beings, Muslim, Christians, people from all across the nation, Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba, Nupe, Gbaji, call them. So I don't think it's always good for people to just dismiss people like that. I think Benkure, the current managing director of the state media, who was also deputy chief of staff under the same Nasiru El-Rufai, just like Obasani was also political advisor, was in some of the media a few days ago.
Yeah,
and was talking about so many things.
So
for me, yes. So Somna, let's even go there. In the last election, we saw the PDP won Zone 1, Zone 2, Zone 3. And won the majority of the House of Representatives. That's the 3 senatorial were won by the PDP, for instance. So I don't think it will be nice to just dismiss a group of people or a region just like that. I don't think it's the right thing. Like Malam Nasiru El-Rufai always do. I don't think it's the right thing.
All right, Omos, thank you so much for your immense wealth of knowledge and understanding of these issues. And we just wait to see what happens. I mean, because El-Rufai says he's all out against his political enemies and he won't have mercy on them because they're also prepared for him. And of course, he's building his coalition. But any last word on the strength of the ADC in Kaduna State? Do you think that if a political group that, can actually upstage the APC and the PDP in Kaduna State as it stands?
Well, it's a difficult task. Like I said, 24 hours is a long time in politics. You can't predict. Anything can happen.
Okay.
But sadly, the death of former President Muhammadu Buhari also is an issue. If Buhari had not died, probably you will not be having what we are having now. But again, I'm sorry, you saw just a few days ago when the members of the CPC, old CPC, actually came together and visited the president and assured him of their support and said they are still one. And I remember the man from Jigawa, former minority leader of House of Reps, taking a swab at Nasiru El-Rufai and said he shouldn't be saying the kind of things he's saying now.
Right.
What is his name?
Farouk Adamu.
Baba Ahmed,
Okay.
the running mate to Peter Oba. Yes, Farouk Adamu from Jigawa.
Yes.
Took that swipe at Nasiru El-Rufai. Deti Baba Ahmed also did the same. He was also a member of the CPC. But from what we are seeing, it's difficult for you to actually see. Like I said, 24 hours is a long time in politics.
All right.
Anything can happen.
All right, we must thank you so much. Abdulaziz Ahmed Kader is a media consultant and immediate past general manager of Liberty Radio and Television. He's also a former chairman of the Kaduna State Government House Press Corps. And we must thank you so much for joining us from Kaduna to help us understand some of the issues as regards the police invitation to Nasiru El-Rufai, former governor of the state, and his accusation that the governor Obasani is responsible for some of the political persecution himself and ADC supporters are getting. So good to catch up with you again also, and do have a lovely time out there.